And any of my friends who take me regularly, I apologize if you get sick of me naming this, but this is a new group for in-person. And I just like to name things. It may be helpful to you, it may not. You may identify, you may not. But I just like to point out that I think we think we're through the pandemic, but now it's like coming back, and we're like, I don't know why I don't have any like passion to go out and garden when I usually love gardening, or I don't know why I'm having a hard time cooking for myself. I love cooking, right? And you're just kind of like feeling like I should be more productive. We're past that crazy pandemic part. Like, why am I not getting my mending done and my this and my that and my other? Me too, by the way. All of this is true for me. And so if you've been feeling that, I just want to remind you all that our nervous systems have been on high alert. No joke. You might not know it, but it's on high alert. And it's been almost 2 years of us being in this alert space where it's just like, am I coming in contact? Are they someone who would vaccinate? I don't know if they're going to vaccinate. Can I shake their hand? Are we at a place? What does the CDC say? What is the right? Should I be wearing a mask when I go inside? Should I this? Should I that? Should I that? I forgot how to socialize. Like, oh my God, I've got to see 5 people and I don't even know how to talk to a human anymore because all I've been talking to is my dog. Whatever, but some rendition of that. We've all had that going on for 2 years. Do you know how much energy that takes? Like, now I'm talking scientific, like physiological. It takes a ton of energy for your body to be in that state. So if you're using all of your energy for that, unbeknownst to you, how would you have energy to go out into garden and to mend and to be productive? What society says is productive. I think rest is productive too. But a lot of us don't think that, right? So I'm just putting that out there and naming it. And then also, I have a mild depression going on. Like, I have so many people who have health issues, and I just had a death, a divorce announcement. Just like, this stuff's been going on like crazy. It's not me, but it's people I love around me. And I think it feels to me, I'll put this in my words, I feel like there's a collective falling apart right now in the world in general, in the United States of America, the chasms, right, between political, us, them, this, that, and the other. And it's been going for a bit, but to have that going for so long, it's exhausting. It's just exhausting, and it just makes me heavy, and it makes my heart heavy. And so one of the lessons I need to learn in this lifetime is to ask for support. And I've been trying to do that with friends and being like, and one of the other lessons is for me to say, I'm not okay. I've never said it in my life. I've always said, I'm okay, but this is what's going on, or I'll be fine, but right now, like, I'm not okay. I will be, but at this exact moment for the past few days, it's been hard to be in my heart mind. And I will get through it. It's not a call. I'm not going to need, special help. I'm not about to, I hate to say it, but commit suicide is sometimes where we go and we hear someone say that, right? It's not that kind of thing. It's just, it's hard right now. So if you identify with anything I've just said, you're not alone. I think this is a collective thing that's happening for many, many, many of us in this world. Pema Chodron talks about things fall apart, but guess what? They always come back together. So I'm just trying to remember that, and remember they will come back together. Something will happen and we'll all come back together. I will come back together. Sitting up nice and tall. It does help me to remember that. Finding that beautiful long spine. In Tuesday's class, we started with Run Your Energy. We're going to do that again today as a little energy reset, and then we will begin physical movement. But you all know me well enough to remember, I think this is part of the practice too. I don't think it's just moving the body. So as you sit up nice and tall, I want you to imagine, if you will, that you have a cord from your tailbone running down to the center of the earth. So it's visualization. Be willing to play with me. You plug that cord into whatever your outlet looks like, whatever your center of the earth looks like. This is where you get to play and be creative. And if there's another visual imagery that works better for you, do it. And then you're going to turn that toggle switch that's connected to that outlet down. And I want you to imagine that every ounce of energy that you have in you right now goes through that cord down to the earth, and the earth is going to put it in her compost pile. So from the crown of the head coming down, Don't forget that energy in the tips of the fingers coming up through the hands, the arms, and moving down. We've got that energy in our toes and our feet that's going to come up right through the legs. All of it meets and goes down that cord coming out of your tailbone, and it goes down to the center of the earth. For my friends who know about the electromagnetic field that exists outside of our body, about an arm's length, maybe that energy also comes into you, down to your tailbone, down to the center of the earth. So all that old energy, take all that old energy and let it drain out of you. I will get you some new one, I promise. And then turn that toggle switch to neutral and just pause and take a breath there. And then when you're ready, that may be a couple breaths from now, you're going to imagine yourself turning that toggle switch up now. And there's this brand new rejuvenating, healing energy, right? That's going to come up through that cord into your tailbone, goes all the way down to your tippy toes, filling up the feet, the ankles, the lower legs, the knees, the upper legs. And then let that sit right there for now. We've got another part we're going to add into it. So I'm teaching it a little different than yesterday. My friends were with me on Tuesday. So we come up to the tailbone with that energy. Now, up above you, right, earth energy is dense, it's stable, it's heavy, right? It's rooted. It's beautiful, all of those things. But if we have too much of it, right, might be a little imbalanced. Above us, we've got this really hot, sharp, light quality, this cosmic energy. And that's going to come down through the crown of your head. Let it come down through your bamboo flute, AKA your spinal column, all the way down to your tailbone. And when it gets there, let the two energies mix. Now you can figure out, hopefully, or start to play with that. What is the good mixing of energy for you? If you've been all sitting on your couch, feeling lethargic, feeling dense and heavy and me mildly depressed, that's me, right? That's where most of my energy has been. I want more of that lighter quality. So I'm going to bring like 80% of that in, mixing with like 20% of my earth energy. But if you've been like super forgetful and all up in your head and dispersing energy out from up high, maybe you need more earth energy. So make your combination, your perfect combination for you today, right now, and let that new mixed energy come up through the front of the spine and fill out the body. It's going to come on up through the arms, the shoulders, the arms, down to the hands and the fingers, through the neck and the throat, up through the head, coming through the crown of the head even, and fountaining out and filling out that electromagnetic field around you. I like science fiction. So I think of this as a force field around me. It's my boundary, right? And it helps protect me and it contains me. So this perfect mixture of energy that's just mixed and come into my body and outside of my body around me, a bubble, a force field, whatever you want to work with. Your imagery doesn't have to be my imagery. But that's a boundary around you. It's a container that holds you, that protects you. And you don't have to let anyone else's energy into that field. And you don't have to give your energy out to anyone outside of that field unless you choose to. And hopefully, as we get wiser, we start to discern who those people are and we choose wisely. Inhale and open those eyes. And we are actually going to come down onto our backs and we're going to start the physical postural movement from our backs. We are going to do a little bit of slipping and sliding on our floor today. I also want to do a little bit more kind of gentle, we're obviously a gentle class, but in restorative today. In that vein of we're exhausted, let's give ourselves a little reset, yeah? So if that makes you want to put a blanket underneath you so that you can slide easily, please do. If you don't. Come on down onto your back. And your feet in either position, meaning knees bent, feet wide, knees in, or legs extended. You get to choose. And for just a few moments, have those arms out by the side with your elbows moving out a little bit till you get a little air in your armpits. And then go ahead and put one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. I just want to do one little extra thing here. And that is simply feeling the breath through the hands, right? So when you inhale, let your hand on the belly rise first, and then your hand on the chest, best you can. And when you exhale, let your hand on the chest, think of that one going down first, and the hand on the belly going down last. Do that a couple of times, a few times for yourself, right? Just really coming into contact with that breath, literally feeling the breath under the hands. This is the wave breath. It's the breath we use frequently. And if you know the Ujjayi breath, start to invite in the Ujjayi breath. So the way I always think of the successions of breath is that our soft belly breath, that's the foundation for almost every breath we do in yoga, right? Pranayama. And then we can add on to that the idea of the wave breath, what we're doing right now. Letting the wave wash up from the pubic bone to the collarbone, and on the exhale, it washes out from the collarbone to the pubic bone, yeah? Ujjayi breath is that slight restriction at the back of the throat, causes a little bit more alertness and awareness. It slows the breath down a little bit because you can't bring it in as quickly, and it's really good for focus and attention. But if you don't know that breath, let it go, work with the wave breath. It's the basis. Okay, now let those arms come out just into their Savasana style arms, I call them, right? And then from there, we're gonna walk our feet out. If your legs were extended, I apologize. Go ahead and put your, actually extend your legs all the way out. I'm gonna add something in I wasn't planning on. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of it right now. We played with it yesterday and I liked it. Go ahead and let your heels stay on the ground, but you're gonna point and flex your feet pretty rapidly. And then if you keep your rest of your body soft, you kind of get this fascia pulling on the back body, right? So fascia is connective tissue. It envelops every single thing that your body has in it, no joke. If we took every organ and bone and blood vessel, everything out, there would be a three-dimensional being of you with just connective tissue. And go as fast as you can. Yep, we're still doing it for just a little bit longer. Let your body be as soft as you can and just feel that back body, just get that little pulling up and down. And then let go of that and soften. Let the legs just, right foot fall out to the right, left foot out to the left, and pause. And then actually from here, we're gonna go into that half Badakhanasana. So I'm gonna add that in here. Go ahead and pull that right heel back, up towards the pubic bone, no higher than your left knee. I mean, don't go crazy with it. And then the right leg is wide, breaking down the first one, so you get it, right? And then push that right heel forward and slide that right heel back out. Just the right side for right now. So go ahead and let that right heel slide up again, and then start to follow your breath. So when the mind is leading your physical movement, we tend to move pretty quickly, right? Because the mind's got a checklist of things to do. When we let the breath lead, we tend to move a little bit slower as we slow the breath down. So I'm going to encourage you to follow your breath, and don't worry about how many of these you get in. And then the next time that your right knee is out to the right, the heel is up, pause. Let the right leg get heavy. Now, this may or may not feel all right in your body, but if you can bring that left knee in towards the chest, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna grab onto that outer left ankle or shin, think half happy baby. And I'm demonstrating if that doesn't make sense, yeah? And then you're gonna pull your left knee down towards the ground and let your right hip lift up. And rock back to neutral. And as you pull that left knee down, let that right hip lift up. So this is all about the hips and the sacrum, yeah? And do that another time for yourself, just letting that rocking motion happen. And then hold the left knee towards the earth, wherever it is that you pull it to. Pause there. Think about that right leg getting heavy and falling back out to the right. And then go ahead and come back to your neutral pelvis. Put the left foot down on the ground and slide it out. Slide your right heel all the way down until the right leg is extended. Pause. Notice the pelvic region. or low back or wherever you feel it, but a lot of us will probably feel this right around your hips and your pelvis. Now, first is just that half bound angle, Artabadakanasana. Left heel slides up, the left knee stays wide. And then you'll slide it forward, and you'll do that a number of times. Yeah? So just go ahead and let that start to happen in your particular body. And breathing from that place, right? So again, we're sliding the heel out and pulling it back. And then the next time that your left heel comes up, pause and hold that there. Let the left leg get very heavy. Unless this is causing sciatica pain or some other, something like that, then of course we'll support it with a block. And then from there, we're gonna bring the right knee into the chest. We're gonna come into half happy baby on the right side. I'm gonna try to grab the right side of my foot or leg, whatever I got, and then pull the right knee down towards the ground, letting your left hip lift. And rock back up to neutral. And again, you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna pull the right knee down and let that hip come back to neutral. Go ahead and pull that right knee down, let that left hip lift as much as it wants to. And come back up. And then this time when you pull that knee down, keep the knee down towards the ground. Wherever it gets to is awesome sauce. Let the left leg get heavy again. It might have got tense. Take a breath there. And bring your pelvis to neutral. Put your right foot on the ground. Slide your right foot out. Slide the left heel out. And here we are in Savasana. Hopefully, maybe. We have some new channels of energy that have just opened through the hip joints, around the hips, the low back. Breathing. Now go ahead and you're gonna put your left foot on the ground, knee bent, right? You're gonna slide your right heel back up, right leg out, just like we just did. But this time let your left knee then come over to the right into what's very much like a windshield wiper twist, right? And then bring the left knee up to center and slide the right heel back down. And I'm up here demonstrating, right? If you need to look at me, but then put your head back down once you got it. Slide the right heel up, right leg wide, left knee comes over. I'm trying to build on. So we always build onto something we just did, right? Bring that left knee up, slide the right heel all the way down. We're gonna hold and work the next one. Slide the right heel back, right leg wide. Bring the left knee over. And then from there, I want you to imagine, if you will, that I was pulling your left thigh bone forward to the right. So really pull that the femur bone out of the hip joint, yeah, on that angle. Now, if it feels okay with your shoulder girdle, you're going to reach your left arm overhead, bicep next to ear, and lengthen your left fingertips back behind you as you lengthen your left knee forward to the right. And you can play with finding that diagonal or whatever that is for you. Take another breath from there. Bring the arm down when you're ready. That's the first piece. Then the hips, that left knee comes up, the hips come down, and the right knee comes up. And then go ahead and slide the legs out. Pause. Rest. So it's a lot like Jell-O on the floor here today so far, right? Or I like to think of it as being like sea kelp, like seaweed. Let that left heel, sorry. Put your right foot on the ground with the knee bent. Try that piece first. Slide that left heel up, the left knee wide. Badakhanasana, we already did that. Now let the right leg fall over to the left. So it's almost like a windshield wiper. We're just getting into it differently. Bring the right knee up and slide the left heel forward. And slide the left heel back, left knee is wide. Let the right leg move over to the left. Both legs are over into your windshield wiper, yeah? And come back up to neutral. Right knee lifts, left leg slides out. That's our neutral this round. We're gonna add on with this next one. Slide the left heel back, left knee wide. Let the right leg fall over. Now pause right there. Imagine me pulling your thigh bone, your femur bone forward. So I'm almost pulling your femur out of the hip socket. Gently, of course, just traction. right? I wouldn't hurt you. And then maybe that right arm reaches up overhead, bicep next to ear. You can play with if it reaches to the right a little bit, the left a little bit. Where is it that you're like, oh my high, right side waist, right? Right hip, right low back, whatever it is that you feel. So it's opposition, knee and fingertips reaching away from each other. Breathe. And bring that right arm down first. Lift the right knee, slide that left heel forward, and then you can slide that right leg all the way out and just pause here. If you want to put your hands back on your body, inhale into your belly first, and then the hand on the chest lifts. Wave breath. Exhale, the hand on the chest goes down first, and then the hand on the belly. Maybe Ujjayi breath, that slight restriction. Do 2 more breaths, just like that. Maybe as we move throughout the class, these breaths are going to get a little bit longer, a little calmer, a little less effortful. And you can bring those arms back out. Go ahead and slide your right heel back and put the foot on the ground, knee bent. Slide the left heel back, foot on the ground, knee bent. And here we are with our feet on the ground and our knees are bent. We're going to bring our right leg into the body. Interlace behind the thigh and reach the right heel up. You do not have to have a straight leg. This is going to be more about joints. So first I want you to go ahead and I want you to go ahead and point your toes, just your toes, and then point your foot. Yeah. And then flex your toes, just your toes, and then flex your foot. I'm doing it if you're like, what is she talking about? Point your toes, point your foot, flex your toes, and flex your foot. So it's articulation. One more time like that. Point your toes, point your foot. And if you've never done this, welcome. Flex your toes. Your body's like, I don't know how. Flex your foot, right? Now go ahead and circle. Take that right big toe and make the biggest circle you possibly can. Slow circling. Go ahead and go the other direction. Again, when we do restorative yoga or we're working towards it being restorative, right? We want to move really slowly and keep the breath long and deep. So we go into our parasympathetic system. And then from there, flex the foot. Actually, you can do release. You can do whatever you want to with the foot. We're back in the knee now. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to bend that leg any amount and then push the heel up. So just think of pumping your knee. Yeah. Bend that right leg and push that right heel up. Do that one more time. Bend that right leg. Any amount, doesn't matter. Push that right heel up and then pause there, interlace behind the thigh, push the heel up, lengthen. So now we're trying to stretch and lengthen the whole back of the right side of the leg. Take another breath there and put that, bend that right knee, put your hand on the right kneecap and circle the right knee. If you need to let your left leg fall out to the left in a counterbalance, you can. But again, as I circle that right knee, now I'm pumping, I'm moving through my hip joint, right? We've already been in there a bit, but hopefully it still feels nice. Go ahead and go the opposite way. Just trying to move it through many of the motions of the hip. And then go ahead and put that right foot down on the ground, pause. Be curious whether your right side lower body feels different than the left. Bring the left leg in, interlace behind the thigh and reach the foot up. Again, don't worry so much about the stretch of the leg yet. We'll get there. Point your toes, point your foot. Flex your toes, flex your foot. Point your toes, point your foot. Flex your toes, flex your foot. One more like that. Point your toes, flex your, point your toe, foot, flex your toes, do something. Flex your foot. And then go ahead and take that left big toe and make the biggest circle you can possibly make. And again, if you find yourself moving fast, your mind is probably leading, let the breath lead. Go ahead and go the other way. Challenge yourself to slow down so that your body can heal and restore itself. And then coming back to center, we're going to bend the knee and then reach the heel up. So now we're pumping in the knee joint. Bend the knee, any amount, push the heel up. Do that one more time, bend the knee And this time, as you push the heel up, you're going to push that heel up pretty strongly, pull the toes down, and let that whole back of the left leg stretch and lengthen. Breathe, most definitely, please. Still trying to find that wave breath even here. And then from there, you're going to bend the knee, put the left hand on the kneecap, and circle the left knee, the left hip. Or I guess it's not the hip, it's the thigh bone. Circle something. It's one of those days for me, friends. I am definitely off, so I thank you for your patience. Go ahead and go the other way. Now bring both knees into the chest and circle both knees together. Hopefully this feels like a massage in your low back and your sacrum. If it hurts, sure don't do it. Go ahead and go the other direction. And now we're going to try bringing this twist a little higher in our bodies, right? Our first twist was all about the pelvis. Tee your arms out, but leave your knees by your chest. And then really slowly and small at first, let your knees just start to rock from right to left. So don't make it too big of a motion. Don't worry about getting to the floor or anything. Just progressively start small and then start to get a little bit bigger with it, noticing where you start to feel the lengthening of any of your muscles, right? The twisting of the spine. And then the next time you go over to the right, you're going to try to keep your knees hugged up towards your chest a little bit, but try to bring your right foot down to the ground. So if the knees need to come away to get the right foot down, bring the knees away, right? That way you can get out of here muscularly. Now soften your feet and your toes and your ankles and your knees and your hips. Maybe that right foot comes on the outer, or not your right foot, your right arm comes on that outer left thigh. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe your head turns to the left and invites the left shoulder to soften down. Maybe it doesn't. And now that you're in here, try to soften everything and let's take 3 breaths. Inhale, wave breath from the pubic bone all the way up to the collarbone. Exhale from the collarbone all the way down to the pubic bone. If you need to breathe faster, please do. Otherwise, go with me at this pace if you can. Inhale from your pubic bone, bringing it all the way up to the collarbone. And exhaling from the collarbone down to the pubic bone. We have one more, friends. Inhale, bottom to top. Exhale, top to bottom. Now to come out of this, I'd like to do the softer version, please. Release the right hand down if it was up. Bring the left knee up first and then the right knee, head to center, and do that rocking again for a little bit. So keep the knees towards the chest, but the arms stay teed out. Let those legs just start to rock back and forth from right to left. Whatever size of motion feels good to you. And then the next time that you go over to the left, let the legs go all the way over. Again, it's a counterbalance, or it's a balance, right? You want to keep your knees up towards your chest if you can, but you want the left foot to come down to the ground. So where is it that you have both of those things happening? Whatever that is in your body, right? Options, left hand might come, or arm, on the outer right thigh. You might turn your head to the right, softening the right shoulder down. And then we're going to try to release every single muscle in our body here. There's not much you need to hold on to. Maybe a little tension in that left arm, but not much. And then once you check the body and you're soft, we've got 3 breaths here. Inhale from the pubic bone to the collarbone. Exhale, collarbone to pubic bone. Inhale, filling up from the bottom to the top, letting go of any expectations you had for class before you got here, yeah? Exhaling from the collarbone down. You got one more of those. Inhale, filling up. Exhale, air releases. Release the left hand down. Right knee comes up first and then the left knee. Put the feet on the ground and pause for just a moment. Recalibrate your system. If you need to lift the hips after that twist and set them back down, I invite you to do that. Let's play in the upper body a little bit. Go ahead and roll over onto either side. Let's have you, well, I was going to say the mirror doesn't help us much. They're not that low. You can roll onto either side right? If you have one where you can see me better and you want to roll to that side first, we're going to do shoulder rolls. I'm going to suggest that you either use your arm underneath your head, your bottom arm, or you might grab a block and put that block underneath your head, right? Makes sense so far? And then our arms just kind of come out in front of us gently, right? And we're going to take the top arm. I'm not going to say right or left because we're facing different ways. Your top arm, let's first put our fingertips on our shoulder and circle the elbow just to wake that shoulder joint up a little bit. Yeah. Anyone who has sensitive shoulders, this might be where you work from the entire time. Okay. Now go the other direction. So hopefully we'll all have a home no matter what. Now, if your shoulder does not have an injury, it's not sensitive, it's feeling all right, extend the fingers out, the top arm out on top of the other. And now full arm extension, go ahead and start to circle the arm all the way around, right? So it reaches over. Terry calls it a rainbow arc. You remember that one? And you might bring it all the way down to the hip and reach it back over. Again, I'm demonstrating. If it doesn't make sense, camera people, I'm going to go out of camera for just a second. Most of my friends are facing this way. So it's that full extension. You can turn and look back if that feels good in your shoulder, but you don't have to, right? Meaning you can roll it open, do a twist or not. Now go the other direction when you're in a place where that feels okay to switch directions. And just, observe what's happening in that upper body, in that top shoulder for you right now. If there's a place where you're wincing in pain, are you benefiting your shoulder, doing what you're doing? Or maybe you keep your fingers on your shoulder. Now, the next time you reach back and you're in what I call full wingspan, my arms are teed out, my left shoulder softening down, even though it's nowhere near the earth, right? But that's where it is, it's that direction. I might turn my head to the left, and then I want you to pause there and take 2 breaths. So we just visited a twist very similar to this, but notice how this is different when you come in this way. Or how is it? How is it different? Ask that question. Tune in. For me, this is way more based in my chest and my shoulder than it is in my low back. You're going to go ahead and you're going to swing that arm overhead like the rainbow arc to bring it all the way back in front of you. Pause, right? I want to do one more thing while we're here. Quad stretch. Bring your top knee in towards the chest. Grab your ankle. Reach that knee down towards the bottom, the foot side of the mat. As you pull your frontal, as is bone, your frontal hip point up towards the head side of the mat. And if you need a strap, you can grab it. But for most of us, if we get the knee to the chest first, we can manage this one. Bev, bring that knee down just a little bit. Yep. So you're in line with your buttocks bones. You got it. One more breath. If anyone's not feeling the front of their thigh right now, let me know. Go ahead and release that. I feel like these muscles get really tense on us. Move the block, please. If you're working with a block, roll onto your back, pausing there for just a moment before we go to the other side. Whatever was your top side just now, does that feel any differently than it did a few moments ago, A? And does it feel any different than the other side? What was the bottom side? Now you can simply roll over to the other side. I'm going to get up and do a shift so I stay facing you and camera. But go ahead and just roll over to that other side, put that block back under your blankets, whatever your arm, whatever you're working with. And again, we're all going to start here to wake up the shoulder joint. Fingertips, top fingertips on top shoulder. Simply circle the elbow. So I call this chicken wings, right? Kind of reminds me of a chicken wing. And then go ahead and go the other direction. And again, you're just getting that synovial joint fluid moving. Maybe you've been moving all over tarnation all morning, but for those of us who didn't do a lot of movement, this is just waking up the joint. Now, bring that arm in front of you, go to full extension if that feels right for you. And with full extension, not saying you can't bend your elbow or anything, but just meaning the extended arm as opposed to fingers on the shoulder. Roll it open if you want to, and start moving through your full circle with your top arm. I just heard a big yawn. I'm going to take that as a compliment. It means you're relaxed. will take relaxation. When you're in a comfortable place to do so, feel like you can switch and go the other direction. Explore that. I always find it fascinating. That's the same dang circle, but depending on which way I circle, it feels very different and gets different muscles. The next time you're in full wingspan, AKA top arm is behind you, the arms are kind of teed out, I can let that top shoulder soften down to the earth and turn and look back towards my top arm, right? Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to feel this twist. And it might not be the same for you. I point out what I feel and what other people tell me they feel. Instead of it being in just hip and low back base, for many of us, this starts to really engage the stretching of the shoulder and the chest of that top arm. It's not wrong if you don't feel that, anything like that. Please do not take that judgment on. Be a scientist and explore, don't be a judge. Go ahead and reach that arm all the way overhead to bring it back around to its neutral. Shoulders are stacked-ish. Bring that top knee into the chest and grab your ankle. Now keeping a hold of the ankle or the top of the foot, reach the knee down towards the foot side of the mat and that frontal hip point up towards the head side of the mat. And again, you'll notice I teach a lot. I don't know if you all have noticed this. I teach a lot about opposition, especially when we're trying to stretch something, right? Think of a rubber band. If everything moves one direction, nothing stretches, right? You can keep one point still and stretch a part of it away, or you can take two pieces and move them in opposite directions. Go ahead and release that leg. Pause for just a moment. Now this time, I'm going to have you roll onto your belly. Now, if you feel like you need to see me, you can switch positions, but hopefully, you know, I'm fairly clear with vocal cues. We're going to do one little series here from our bellies. So I want crocodile arms, or a version of, where your elbows are out wide in front of you and your hands stack, and you're going to bring your forehead down to your hands. I'm going to stay a little higher so y'all can still hear my voice. Yeah? But hopefully you can bring your forehead down. Now from there, think baby, 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 baby cobra. This is a version of cobra. You're going to push the tops of the feet down, let the thighs gently get buoyant and lift. And then from there, pull your belly button towards your hands, pull your hands back towards your belly button, and then push down into your arms and lift your chest and your head just a little bit. Don't go crazy with that, right? And exhale, come on down. So we've got 4 of those. So everything I said, but quicker. Feet down, thighs lift. Go ahead and pull belly towards hands, hands towards belly, arms down, inhale up. Yeah, I'm going to say even less. Exhale down. Hopefully you kind of got the picture. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra. Exhale, soften down. Take the whole breath to get there. The whole breath to get up too. Don't just pop up. Inhale, slow, slow rise up into baby cobra. Exhale, coming back down. Now that's one version. And if the next piece feels like too much, you keep doing that. Maybe you curl your toes under and you push your heels back so much your thighs lift. So now I have lifted legs for the most part, right? And then from there, it's the same idea. I'm going to pull my belly button to my hands. My hands are going to pull back to my belly button. I'm going to push my arms down and come up into low cobra. So technically what's happening is you are in a little bit more of a what's called extension in the spinal column. Keep that belly toning forward so you do not go into your low back. Now from here, move your elbows, slide your elbows over to the right a little bit. Right? We do this when we do child's pose to the side sometimes. Now push down your hands and pull your belly, slide your belly over to the right a little bit so it lines up with your hands. Now pull your belly towards your hands back towards your belly, and push your left heel further away. Does anybody not feel the internal wall of the left abdomen? Soft shoulders. I'm going to take that as a yes. I'm hoping you're finding that. I love this stretch, by the way. Come back through center as someone who's really tight in the pelvis and the abdomen. Oh my gosh, this helps me. Slide the elbows to the left. Push down, pull the belly up a little bit, slide the belly to the left. Right? So I'm at a little angle in the lateral stretch. I pull my hands to my belly pulls forward to my hands. I'm in baby cobra, and then I push my right heel back like the Dickens, hoping to maybe lengthening my inner right abdominal wall. Take one more breath. Come through your center, release the curling of the toes, bring your forehead down, rest. 2 breaths. Notice how this position, when you breathe into the belly, right, it lets that back rib cage expand up to the sky. Kind of cool. Put your hands next to your shoulders. We're going to come up, use a little bit of core, please, abdominal specifically. Push into the hands, pull the belly up, and push yourself up to hands and knees. And make your way back to child's pose. If you feel like you want to switch and face front, you sure can. You're also fine facing back. Might be good for your brain to do a different position than you normally do, right? Change is good, believe it or not. Hard to believe that with this past 2 years. Again, every time we fall apart, it gives us an opportunity to come back together, right? Maybe those hips sway a little bit from side to side. And again, I'm on fists just so you can hear my voice better. You can be all the way down with your forehead if anyone's looking at me trying to follow. Now stretch those arms out in front of you. And like I was just talking about, we're going to try to get the side body a little more. We're going to walk our hands over to the right. Reach that left arm forward and away, but your left hip moves back away from that and open up the left side body. If you have any place where you're feeling tense or tight, breathe into that. You can literally bring the movement of the breath into almost anything from your armpit to your hip on that left side. Come on back to center. Walk yourself over to your left. Slide that right arm forward and away, the right hip back and down, and breathe. Again, anywhere where it feels tight, can you bring the breath in there? Can the breath expand the area? And the answer might be no, and that's okay, but try, yeah? Come back through center. Right in the center, push down with the hands, the forearms lift up. Let's build a little strength here in the shoulder girdle. Imagine me grabbing your outer upper arms and rotating them into your face, soft shoulders. And bring those forearms down, 2 breaths, doing nothing. Whatever arm position you want. Now come on up to hands and knees. We're not going to do a whole lot up if you couldn't tell today. Feel free to turn around and face front now if you wanna. Okay. Oh my gosh, you were facing the back of the room for so long. Ah, and we survived. Shoulder blades down the back and reach the chest board. I had a teacher who we faced every position in every class that she taught. Exhale, pull the belly up. She's like, I don't want you to get used to one thing. Inhale, shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward. Exhale, pull the belly up. Now we're going to add a little retention of our inhale. So inhale, shoulder blades down the back, still cow, just like we normally do. Pause, keep the breath in. Exhale, pull the belly up, round the spine. We're going to do that one more time. Inhale, slowly reach the chest forward, take the whole breath. But once you get there and the breath is full, pause. Exhale. Come back to neutral. Let's do one more twist from here, right? Where I'm also trying to help you release any heat from your abdomen. You're going to reach that right hand over to the right. For some of my friends, this pose might be better with a block for underneath the head. And if you're like, nope, this pose is not good for me, right? You could just reach your right arm forward off to the side as well. It's not a full twist, but it still can be an effective side opener. So pause there, release the neck. Looking good, friends, looking good. One more breath. So here's a similar twist again, right? But a totally different position of gravity. What does this one do for you? For me, this one is all about neck stretching, my area on my right shoulder blade stretching. Push that ground away and come back up. Let's try that on the other side. Left hand reaches past the right inner wrist. Come on over. Feel free to set the head down on a block if that's a helpful tool, or simply reach your left arm forward on a diagonal. Once you get in, can you pause? Can you soften the neck and let it hammock? Right? Where else are you holding tension? Jaw, shoulder. A little bit of pressure down through the shins just to keep the hips pretty neutral. Where do you feel this one? Right hand under shoulder, push the ground away. Come on up to center. You're gonna sit down, believe it or not, and swing your legs out in front of you. So whatever transition that is for you, do that one. I'm gonna take a second to fold my blanket up to give me a little bit of height under my buttocks. Feel free to do the same for yourself. Right? So we're gonna actually, maybe, not all of us might reach it. Don't judge yourself, it's not a big deal. Have your blocks on standby because we're gonna do a forward fold and we're gonna see if we can't use our blocks as a prop. Okay, so just have them on standby. Sitting up nice and tall. I'm gonna talk to you, and though you know me, I've got some specifics just because I love bodies so much. It's, believe it or not, it's not about perfectionism or control. It's because I want you to find some of this really good juju in the body, right? If we get really tall and then we start to fold with a long spine from the pelvis, we're going to start to lengthen the hamstrings. But if your hamstrings are like, oh my God, don't go as far or don't bend the knee or bend the knees, right? And then once you're like, okay, that's about where I'm at, then instead of trying to get down to a prop, bring the prop up to you. Yeah. And I can get more props for people here in person. My friends who aren't here in person, you can just hang in. But if you can get something under the forehead, and very specifically, because you know me, I'm specific, right? Right in the eyebrow center. If you can bring that block to the eyebrow center, I like to turn it at an angle so the corner comes right in between my eyeballs, right? Into that eyebrow center. Why does that matter, Crystal Joy Johnson? Well, they've done a number of studies and have found that when we ground our forehead, we start to stimulate the relaxation response, which I think is really interesting because I think sometimes when we're so stressed out, right, we bring our hand up to our forehead or we put our forehead against the wall or the desk or we, right, I feel like we naturally sometimes do this without really knowing why. So if you can get that forehead down, and if not, it's okay. And I guess I'll just throw it out there because sometimes what I do if I can't get to my props is I'll use my props to put my elbows on and I'll bring my thumbs up. We're going to be here for about 5 breaths, friends. 5 soft belly breaths. How much can you let go? How much can you be okay with just being still and not doing a ton of strength or any of that stuff? Be okay with whatever answer you get, by the way, with these questions. And can you give your body the gift of kindness, compassion, and rest? Now coming up, first we put our fingertips outside of our legs, right? So our poor little core doesn't have to do everything. Shoulder blades down the back, reach the chest forward, and start to lift the body up. So we've got one more. You can leave those blocks. You may need a different height, but we're going to try to bring our feet into Badakhanasana, kind of like what we started at the very beginning of class, a version, right? We did different things. Now, if you're like, holy moly, and you need your feet closer together, it is more challenging. You can do the shorter distance, right? If you're like, actually, and you want a little bit more of a, I don't want to say challenge, but just depends on hips, you might go to the wider. Yeah. So whichever one works for you. I'm going to take the narrow version today. I'm going to pull against my shins and I'm going to lengthen my spine. I'm going to try to bring my whole pelvis and everything above in. And then without being like, I got to get to my prop, I'm going to find out where I naturally go. On this one, you know, I'm going to play with it. No, it is still on that top one, right? So now I can kind of move those blocks around a little bit. Again, I'm happy to get anyone another block or a blanket. And if you're like, oh, it ain't going to happen, another option is, so watch Carolyn and Beverly, right? Maybe it's something where I like this one. Well, supposed to is a tricky question. Where do they fall out to wherever they're comfortable, quote. If your hips are like, you can go out further, or it's really today, it depends on what feels okay. And I can bring you blocks to support knees too, right? And if you're like, you are hilarious, there's no way I'm ever going to get to those blocks, again, don't worry about it. Don't use the blocks. Or I find that stacking my forearms sometimes gives me extra height, right? So it's so individual. It really is. It doesn't, don't look around and be like, well, I mean, look around and might maybe get inspiration like, oh, she did that. That's so wise, right? But otherwise, let it be you finding a place. I'm trying to get your body to soften, right? And get to a place where it's in that relaxation response. And if you're like, this pose does not do anything for me, maybe extend your legs right back out and go right back to where we were. Yeah? You get where I'm going with that? No judgment. Simply compassion and kindness, observation. And sure, it's great if you can get the forehead down, the eyebrow center to ground, but if you can't, that's not the end all be all. Bet you can still relax real good. And I always say it as a joke, but those things, they don't make you a better person and they don't make you a worse person. So really let go of judgment around that stuff. About 2 more breaths. Hopefully you're still in that beautiful soft belly breath. And again, to come up, if your hands are on the blocks, you can push into the blocks. Otherwise, your hands maybe on the ground. Use a little bit of arm strength to help the spine lengthen and then come up, just so that area doesn't have to suddenly be like, whoa, what's all this weight? Go ahead and release the blocks off to the side. Release the legs out in front of you. We're coming onto our backs next, but before we do, have the feet a little wide and go whoosh, 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 windshield wiper. I'm going to bring my hands back to support me so I can focus on really whooshing my feet as fast as I can, right? Let go, and the more you let go and just let it be a super fast motion, I'm hoping the correlation is that these hippies are just like woot, 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 in their sockets. That's the noise they make, in case you didn't know. Listen closely. Let them go. Okay, we're going to come down onto our backs. If there's anything you need for Shavasana, and while you're getting ready, I just want to point out, maybe you're like, oh my gosh, what would feel so awesome? Badakhanasana on blocks. Maybe you're like, what would feel grounding? Blanket and weight on my thighs. Maybe your neck and your jaw have been crazy tense lately, and you roll a little piece of blanket and bring it in and support your cervical curve. And that's like, oh, yes, right? And if you're not sure, you ask a Crystal Joy Johnson, and she has a lot of potential ideas. I love questions. And when you find yourself in that comfortable place, how much can you soften down into the earth? Give me a second. I'm going to turn the overheads off here in person. So I'm going to be wandering for a moment and making noise. And, I also share this kind of stuff where I can soften pretty good at this point in time. I've practiced a lot and taught myself, but it does not come, quote, easy to me. And it's something I have to practice regularly. That may seem ridiculous, but I am a tight wound individual. I come from capital T trauma. I've been in fight and flight most of my life, yada, 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 yada. I practice every day, and every day it's becoming easier to soften. If you have anxieties or worries or tension, maybe imagining that those can just drain out of your body. Salud. For my friends with a to-do list, when the to-do comes into your head, put it on a little imaginary slip of paper, pull it out of your brain and put it into the bowl right next to your mat. It'll be there when you're done. For many of us, the stiller the body gets, the busier the mind gets. It's called the monkey mind, is its nickname. And so for us, I'm in your school, a really useful tool might be to have an anchor point. Every time the mind is thinking, label it thinking, come back to the breath. Or maybe the physical sensations of the body. And what a gift that provides. Every time the mind wanders off, we have the opportunity to return to ourselves, to return to the present. It's in the returning. Yeah, it's not in emptying the mind. No, 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 no. It's in returning. Bring your awareness back into your breath. Start there. Notice the breath. And then bring your awareness back into your physical body. And that might be simply sensing it. And maybe you sense your body craves movement. And you start to move in whatever way that is. Wiggles, jiggles, rotations, stretches. And if you're like, nope, my body doesn't want to move at all, then take your time, take a few moments in stillness. But yes, eventually you'll come on up. But don't be too hard on don't be hard on yourself all the way around. We know that, but especially right now. And when you get up, I'll be there. I'll meet you. And it's not just me, it's this whole community of people, right? We meet each other. Find that long spine when you do arrive, best to your ability. To the best of your ability. Try that again. Bring those hands together in front of the chest. Inhale. Exhale, bowing the head in and just taking a moment of gratitude. Find something, at least one thing to be grateful for. And then if you don't mind, I'd love for you to end with a little bit of metta for yourself. I'm going to be doing the same for myself. Repeat to yourself silently what I say. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. And may I be free. And if you're so inclined, maybe to all beings everywhere, may all beings everywhere be well. And namaste, friends.